I was so super stoked when I heard about the game Stray, and I knew from the second I heard that song, The Way You Compute Tonight, that little snippet they gave us almost a year ago, I knew I'd be covering songs from this game, and that if I was going to do so, I'd be doing it right, with an exact replica of the gas tank guitar played by the android musician character, whose name I'm going to avoid trying to pronounce. Screw it. What is it, Morsk? I feel like it's Morsk. Anyway, I needed to track down two specific items for this build, a classical guitar and an old jerry can. The classical I picked up at a tag sale within the first few weeks I decided to do this. I think it was like $10. The gas can was a little more difficult to track down for a reasonable price, but eventually I did find one for about 15 bucks on Facebook Marketplace, just a couple of towns over for me. And it was just in time, too. I actually only had a couple of weeks or so before the game Stray was set to be released, and I'd have to jump right into recording a full version of The Way You Compute Tonight with this guitar. I actually had a gig that week as well, and a couple of side jobs to do, and a lot of orders I needed to fill for my actual job, so the window to make all of this work was fairly narrow. But luckily the gas can guitar came together without much struggle at all. Whew! I still was feeling it. Yeah, so the first step was to rinse and air this gas canister out, especially since I'd be cutting into it later, creating a ton of sparks. So while I waited for that to air out, I got to disassembling the classical. I've built a few electrics at this point, but acoustics and classicals are kind of new to me. After removing the strings, I started with the bridge, which I just sort of assumed was glued on, and after trying to heat it up with a heat gun in an attempt to melt and release the glue, I realized there were actually two bolts hiding under the little inlays. Feels like they have little nuts on them. So I might be able to get a little wrench in there and undo the nut. So these are not just glued on, as it turns out. Frankly, I could probably just cut this guitar open because I don't know what I'm trying to salvage here. I mean, there's no real purpose to salvaging any of this guitar. So I moved on to the neck and I decided to deal with the bridge later. The neck I similarly tried to heat up enough so that the glue would release at the heel and at the fretboard, but eventually I decided to just take a saw to it. I wasn't overly concerned about preserving the body of the guitar, but I didn't want to damage the heel of the neck or that fretboard either, so I took some care. And after a little while, it did come loose, and that's when I realized how lucky I got. Holy sh! Lucky I didn't screw up my saw blade on that. It's funny, I was aware that there was a steel rod in this neck, but I guess I didn't expect it to go all the way through. I didn't really feel it under there. I guess I did, but I thought it was wood. A little wood spine or something. It looks like I stopped sawing like right before I sawed into it. I don't see a mark on the metal from my saw blade, so I think I essentially got lucky. Afterwards, I resolved to just save myself the struggle and just cut the bridge out with a circular saw so I wouldn't have to fiddle with bolts through the little sound hole and everything. And the body I'm planning on repurposing as a shelf or a little wall display. So I'll be cutting the face off of that anyway, and I'm going to be setting that to the side to deal with for later. After removing the bolts and setting all my pieces aside, I realized I forgot to measure the scale length, so I then had to roughly reassemble everything, and I had to get that. Then it was off to the can. Not the bathroom, I mean the gas can. I made all of my measurements, I found my centers, I made my marks, and then I just took it outside and took an angle grinder to it. This all went very well, and I did not erupt into flames, despite the smell of diesel fumes being very, very present still, and even to this day. That smell just does not go away. Next, I tracked down some nuts and some bolts, and I made my pilot holes and began the assembly process. For the bridge, I simply reused the same nuts and bolts that it came with, or that it came off with, I couldn't get my hand through the hole of the jerry can, so I had to use an extension with a right angle bit, a right angle driver, which I loaded with a socket adapter, and then I just preloaded the nuts into the socket. And it went extremely well. For the neck, I decided to throw a sizable bolt directly through the heel, coupled with a healthy spread of clear, non-foaming Gorilla Glue. Similarly, I could not get my hand through that hole, so I had to tape together a few extensions with a universal joint socket at the end, and once again, this ended up working extremely well. And that was basically it. I just strung it up from there and gave it a strum. This thing's acoustics are going to be insane. All right. There she is. I chose to use bronze, acoustic strings. You're not technically supposed to use acoustic strings with a classical guitar because it can rip the bridge out of the body and deform the neck and stuff like that. But this is a steel reinforced neck, and this is a metal can. So I thought, I'm going to run the risk. I just didn't think the nylon strings were going to sound right, so I ran the risk. And it does feel like it's pulling a lot of tension on this neck. It's a little bit worrisome, but here we go. Let's see how it sounds. Let's see. That's awesome. I'm a little worried. These strings are like definitely pulling a lot. The action's kind of high over here. But I just don't think the nylons are going to sound right. Lately I've been wondering what's been going on. I've been here before, but I can't remember when. We're getting to where we're entering. I feel my beliefs and hopes surrendering. 'Cause I know I'm coming home soon. Yes, I know I'm coming home soon. This thing is too cool. There we go. I've got. Don't worry about it. I don't know. I kind of figured it out in high school at one point. I haven't tried to play that in years. Yeah, that's definitely a lot better action-wise. I took the little nut out, and really seemed to help with the action. Oh yeah. Is that up here? Yeah. That was so snappy sounded. I don't remember how to play this. I'm already out of tune. Yeah. Ah. I wish I was good at this stuff. Oh man, that's gonna be the next goal. Now I have to practice this kind of. What do you call that? Just that percussive stuff. Oh, that's wild. I love it. Ah! Okay, can't go that high. I'm limited. I need a cutout. 2.0. We'll have a cutout. Oh, that would have made sense to mount it the neck down here for a cutout. Huh? We should have done that. Something like that. We're gonna have so much fun finding percussive stuff to do with this. Alright, I mean, there it is. This thing is pretty functional and pretty sweet, and not terrible action-wise. Pretty good. And it doesn't look like it's gonna rip out of the body or anything. I meant to Gorilla Glue in this bridge, I forgot. But I did Gorilla Glue in the neck and fretboard, as you saw, I'm sure, and as I probably am going to mention in voiceover world. And yeah, the neck doesn't look too, doesn't look like it's gonna snap or anything. The bolt looks nice and clean. It's pretty awesome. I'm looking forward to recording it. We're doing something cool with it.